Hello, my name is Michael Frenklach, and I'm going to present new results that Alexander Mebel and I have on the subject of soot particle nucleation. We have broad agreement in our communities that precursors to soot particles are pH, and we also have broad agreement recently on the size of such precursors, about 4 to 6 rings or possibly a little larger. The working hypothesis on the mechanism, how it's pH dimerization, but how it exactly happened, which particular pHs are involved, is still a subject of research and debate. However, very recently, Alexandra Gomez and co-worker interpreted the experimental results as so that the precursors to particle are 1 and 2 ring aromatics and not things like purine. So the objective of the present study, therefore, is to revisit prenucleation chemistry of pH growth with updated kinetics and new reactions that we have been studying for the last few years and others. Among one of the key issues, and all the details are in the paper, but the key issues that I would like to emphasize now are that we include well skipping channels, meaning that we do not treat any more surface chemistry as high pressure limits. So in other words, we're not thinking of soot as monolith carbon, but rather composed of like moderate size pHs. We include addition of allyl propyne and methyl. We exclude in this simulation aromatic dimerization because our focus is entirely on what happens to evolution of pHs and what could be then precursors to dimerization and transition to three-dimensional particles. We do our analysis using two atmospheric flames of ethylene. One is a well-studied flame of Hai Wang and co-worker. We designated it C3H08. It's kind of the name given to this flame was C3 by Wang, and we're using 8 millimeter separation. We also consider second flame, that of Face and co-workers. This flame has been examined by us for a long time, starting with ABF and before even, and so we have like long history with this flame. And the interesting part of comparison would be here that these two flames have different sooting tendency. Like Face flame is much more sooting than Wang flame. So flame simulations were carried out itself in Cantera. We tested 4 models, which described in the paper. We selected the foundational model of Greg Smith and Hai Wang, as I think it's a most accurate model today accurate model. We use sterically resolved kinetic Monte Carlo simulations. In other words, we're resolving our reaction based on sites in first neighbors and second neighbors of reactive site. We start with a naphthalene molecule placed at 400 Kelvin of a flame environment. We run kinetic Monte Carlo for 10 millisecond reaction time, and we perform like 50,000 and 10,000 of such runs for the two flames. The main results are presented in this slide. Here we look at the statistical evolution of structure starting with naphthalene into flames. On the left, it is a C3 flame of Hai Wang, and on the right is a Face flame. Right. Here we're giving temperature profiles of the flames. We want to point out that nucleation region will be somewhere like around 600 Kelvin and above. So it's somewhere here in C3 flame, and in Face flame it will be somewhere here. So what we notice is that naphthalene, which is A2, falls apart very rapidly in both flames. So by the time of nucleation, it's replaced by its 5-member ring substituted forms. As a naphthalene and with 2 rings, this we call R5A2 R5, 2 ring substituted naphthalene. This S2 profile in both flames are the same. But what's interesting, so that the next species that appear is phenylene, but again, it's very quickly converts to or adds a 5-member ring. And this is shown with blue axis. You can see this profiles here that it's really third largest after naphthalenes. As for parines themselves, it does form, but it's again very quickly replaced by its cyclopenta group substituted form. So this A4R5, and more interestingly with two 5-member rings given with red axis. So you can see that this red axis approaching the concentration of substituted phenylene. So the significance of this result is as follows. So this cyclopenta substituted compounds of 2 and 3 ring compounds essentially have size of parine, of 4 rings. So in other words, this guy is only 2 carbon atom off, and this 1 carbon off of parine itself, and therefore the dimerization kinetics should be, or dimerization rate should be similar perhaps as parine itself, but we also want to know that parine is not really present in large quantities. It is asaparine and 5-member ring substituted parine, which are presented in larger quantity, and they need to be considered for analysis. We also look in a broader sense. We ask the question, how many 5-member ring and what kind of them are present on evolving structure. Again, these are the 2 flames, their temperature profiles. And what's important to notice here is this green line that by the time we reach nucleation zone, we have over one 5-member ring on an edge. So on average, therefore, we basically can conclude that when nucleation region is approached, we definitely have at least one 5-member ring on an aromatic structure. We also can analyze here, we present some reaction rates because it's of interesting to us. What are the mechanisms that leading, what's important, and so on. Again, on the left are results for the C3 flame, on the right for phase flame, and the first 2 panels give us the fastest reactions in the system. So the fastest reaction is H abstraction by H, given with the blue line. Now H abstraction by OH is 2 orders of magnitude lower, so it really doesn't play much role. Oxy-radical decomposition is the next fastest reaction initially, here with the purple line in both flames, and it's responsible for removal of naphthalene from flame, like what we saw in previous slide. The reaction that essentially follows H abstraction by H is formation of H 5-member ring, shown in green line, in both flame. It's certainly kind of second important event, H abstraction, then formation of 5-member rings. And but also what's important is that we see a rate here of embedded 5-ring migration. This phenomenon was discovered over a decade ago, that embedded 5-member ring can migrate along zigzag edge. However, in this simulation, we also found that for smaller pH, let's say parine size, that this embedded or edge 5-member ring simply circulates along the surface of parine, and it forming, going from edge 5-member ring to semi-embedded, and so on. That create a lot of opportunities for different reactions of growth, what we also going to discuss next. Growth reaction is a middle set of panels. Our reference reaction grows by acetylene shown in blue. What's important here, what key point is that it's two line, one in red and one in purple, is a growth formation of the next 6-member ring by addition of CH3 to 5-member ring radical. By comparison, reaction of oxygen atom with a semi-embedded 5-member ring shown here in this color here, it's very infrequent, and this reaction was very critical, that we found out is critical for oxidative environment of soot and aromatics. Another reaction that we consider is the one that Alex Mebel and I considered recently, is possible conversion of semi-embedded 5-member ring by acetylene addition. What we found there is that addition at radical site of 5-member ring is very slow, but even addition at 6-member ring site is also rather infrequent in stochastic simulations that we see. The last group of reaction is formation of phenylene, is something that we notice that it's kind of third largest appearing in flame. Our reference reaction here is a blue line, desorption of 5-member ring by H addition, because they are unstable kinetically and thermodynamically above 1400 Kelvin. Red line is formation of phenylene by CH3 addition to edge R5, is the same line already, same reaction we discussed above. And we also notice here, and I want to point out that reaction of allene propyne, it's the largest concentration combined and so on to a radical site, is really very infrequent, and it's due to a low concentration of allene propyne. The things that I argued for a long time. In any case, the next reaction of interest, and this is really a little bit surprising, it's shown in green, and this is new reaction found recently by Alex Mebel in his work. It's formation of phenylene by converting a Körner 5-member ring that we see here by H addition, and it shows sizable amount of phenylene formation, which is need to be considered. We also consider development of curvature in pH. So if we look at two flames, right, shown here in red and blue, that their trajectory of development of curvature is somewhat different. However, if I am going to look at the projection of this result onto this plane. So in other words, if I'm going to compare curvature versus number of carbon atoms, the two trajectory overlap. This is somewhat surprising because there were attempts to kind of track curvature of pHs for identifying fuels and conditions, so on. But this result suggests that maybe, we don't know, there is some degree of universality in development of the curvature in this flame. Again, it's on the two flame, but flame with a very different sooting condition and sooting environment. So it suggests thing, and we look into future studies to analyze this phenomena if it's indeed so. So our conclusions, therefore, are the following, our main conclusions. So 2 versus 4 ring soot precursors, the issue brought up by Alexandra Gomez and co-workers, that they do make their judgment based on measuring and examining concentration of naphthalene and pyrene. But it's maybe not the right species to look at, because as what we see now, they all quickly convert into 5-member ring substituted structures, and it is those that need to be considered. And maybe if we will consider those species, then we don't have any disagreement between a result of Gomez and majority of the community. We also see that H5 member ring are always present. I want to bring this now to the old result, very initial results of modeling of pHs, where the hacker showed that one of the first product is it would be as naphthalene because it's one of the primary. It's the first island of stability. Then we said that 5-member ring may remain on the aromatic ring, but now we actually see that it's not may remain, but it's always will be present. We also see important contribution of CH3 addition to 5-member ring and converting them to 6-member ring. We see sizable amount of phenol formation with need examination and very suggestive results that a possible universality in curvature formation. Thank you.